The Pittsburgh Pirates are eliminated from playoff contention. The fan base is and has been calling for change. What if that change doesn't come? What if Ben Cherington stays? Let's explore what that means for the roster, the front office, you as a fan, and the future of this franchise. And let's do it next on Locked On Pirates.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You're listening to Locked On Pirates, your daily podcast on the Pittsburgh Pirates, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gary Morgan. Today we're asking one big question. What if the Pittsburgh Pirates don't fire Ben Cherington? And I'm going to talk about it from as many different angles as I can possibly think of. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. The risks of staying the course with Ben Cherington. And I guess I should talk about why I'm bringing this up now. And really, it had a lot to do with a chat that Noah Hiles did on the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. I'm not the only pundit on Pittsburgh Pirates stuff out there that likes doing Q&As. It's a lot easier to get questions from people, and nothing can show you what the fans are thinking more efficiently than having them ask questions. It's the perfect cheat code to make sure you're talking about exactly what your listeners want to hear, or in his case, readers. Well, somebody inevitably asked, is Ben Cherington going to be gone? Because everybody's been asking this question, really, back to the preseason. Even in the off season, it was being brought up. After last year's deadline, where they picked up Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and they tried to get a slugger from the Miami Marlins that didn't work out, and all the things that were efforting last year, they all failed. And I think immediately people started calling for Ben's head, and I totally get it. The reason that I'm discussing it today is because Noah didn't answer it in the way that I think everyone else has been answering it, which is basically, I don't know, it sure looks like he's going to be gone. He decided to take another tack and tell you everything he's seeing makes him feel like he's going to be back. And I was asked yesterday directly, is there any truth to that? Yeah, there is truth to it. Because the reality is, the only reason that so many of us have been so sure that he was going to get fired and was a lame duck and probably shouldn't even be making any of the decisions that are being made was that it was reported by Dejan Kovacevic that he had spoken to somebody very high ranking. And listen, I know Dejan a little bit, pretty well. I have a show on his network, another show on his network. So we talk. And I'm not saying he's told me who his source is, but if you know Dejan well enough, then you know exactly what he's getting at. His source is Bob Nutting. Bob Nutting told him that there's very little chance that Ben Cherington is going to return in 2026. And Dejan recently has been trying to answer this same question, and all he can really tell you is, that's the only thing I've heard. Nobody has come and told me that it's the opposite now. That said, he hasn't had an opportunity to talk to him, and he leaves open the door that he could change his mind. And I think that's been a little bit of a fear here, even as the Pirates have played better under Don Kelly. I think a lot of you probably remember me bringing it up when Don Kelly was first fingered to replace Derek Shelton. I thought there was a good chance that they could do a little bit better under Don Kelly, and I wondered, if they do, does it save Ben Cherington's job? And if it does, I remember asking you guys the question, if it does save his job, are you okay with it? And I think the answer is pretty clear. No, you aren't. You aren't okay with it. The risks of staying the course really are that the offensive development failures that we have watched play out for this entire duration of Ben Cherington's tenure will remain in place. I mean, you can blame all the players, and I would just say, my God, you can't have that many players and not get lucky once. I would say the same thing for blaming drafting. It's really hard to draft as many players as a Major League Baseball team drafts every single year and not find a nugget in the better part of half a decade. So I would worry about that not changing. And more than anything, I worry about what happens as you transition from the minors to the majors. We talked a lot about this yesterday with the regression of players once they get to the major league level here. And that's not on Matty Haig. That's not even on Don Kelly. That's on the system. The system is not preparing. It's like when you hire somebody that went to college for something. I don't know if you guys are in a position to hire, but I am. And when you hire people that went to school for something, the very first thing you learn is they think they know everything. And chances are they weren't trained on what they need to understand to do the job in their chosen career path at your company. So you have to combat the fact that they know everything so that you can break down that shell to give them the information they need to use their training to do their job well. That's where we are with prospects here. They get to AAA and they feel pretty good about themselves. They know where they are. They know what they are. They know what they like. They know what they don't like. They know what they're good at. They know what they're not good at. And then when they get to the majors, they're handed a brand new textbook and told to study up real quick and get your butt out there. And by the way, I know you normally play every day, but you're only going to play once or twice a week now. And I know you hit cleanup, but you're probably going to hit 7th or 8th here. And all those other things that you thought you knew, you really don't. Other teams struggle with this same thing. But when you're a team that claims you're going to build internally, you're going to build everything from the internal workings of your system, and you know as a fan they're not going to go out and spend a whole bunch of money and whatnot, well, you have a bare ass for the world to see. See, the Dodgers' failure rate on prospects is not a lot different than the Pirates' failure rate on prospects. I know that seems improbable to you, but it's the truth. Those numbers are just about the same across the board. Even Tampa has the same success and failure rate for prospects. Some of them have drafted a little better. Some of them train a little better. I'm not saying there's no variations, but I'm saying as an overriding number, they don't fluctuate a lot. Prospects fail at this rate, it's pretty set in stone. They succeed at this rate, that's pretty set in stone. But as a Pittsburgh Pirate fan, you spend your days looking down at the minor league system, paying attention to all these players, getting to know their names, starting to pay attention to them sometimes when they're 18 years old, sometimes when they're 20. They're not developed. You don't know what they are. They're hitting a couple home runs. You're seeing some highlights. They get up here. It doesn't go well. And I'm telling you, this is how it is for most teams. It really is. You get in a team like Milwaukee, well, they can get you up to the league and you're not great. But you also don't stop developing at the major league level if you're playing for a team like Milwaukee. You keep that process going and they will train you and you will get better and you will eventually fit that system if you've got enough talent to be in it. That's not the case for the Pittsburgh Pirates. We see guys routinely come up here and do worse than they did in the minors and look out of sorts, look like they've Never seen a curveball before. And it's hilarious. It's the things that actually drive me the most batty. But if Ben Cherington sticks around, that's going to continue. You know what else is going to continue? The free agent strategy that he exploits. You can blame Bob Nutting for this if you like. I think that's fine. But he's given money, and he spends that money on small patches as opposed to a big fix. That's a choice. Now, maybe he's not running into people that actually want to come here and he's having a hard time signing free agents. Okay. Maybe Bob tells him he can't sign them for multiple years. Okay. But that's an argument for just doing nothing because it's not going to get any better because Bob's the real problem. And maybe that's the case. But I've seen things work under this owner before, and he didn't want to spend any more in 2013 through 2015 than he does now. Neil Huntington found a way to do it without spending a whole lot of money, and he found a way to find productive, helpful bats in the major leagues. The other thing to worry about, I think, is fan participation and ticket sales if they hold on to Ben Cherington. I hear a lot. I'm never going back. I'm not going to watch. And most of the time it's crap. And I got to tell you, this year, it's not so much crap. There's people I've been talking to since I started doing this 5-6 years. They're done. If Cherington comes back, they're done. At least for the year. At least until they start performing better. I'm not sure how you get around it. They're not even like selling the building halfway out for Paul Skeens starts at this point. I don't know how much more credibility they think they have to burn. Let's take a quick break. Let's come back. Let's play devil's advocate. Let's do the case for continuity, the case for keeping Cherington. It's only fair. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is the supplement clinically tested that targets the root cause of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. And you can feel good about it knowing Nutrafol is an NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Hey, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and like. Leave me some comments. I would love to hear what you guys think about this whole subject because as heated as it is right now, come November, this decision comes down and it turns out they're going to keep Ben Cherington. We're all going to have to make a decision as to how we move forward. Some of you are going to choose to not watch the team anymore. I get it. Some of you are going to choose to just push through it because you love baseball and you hope for better no matter what, no matter who. I just think what Cherington has done well, it's been kind of a tale of two halves of his time here. I don't think he's drafted all that well up until recently, offensively. Pitching, I think he's kind of nailed from moment one. Whatever he had that was identifying pitching talent in that system has worked, and he's kept it. The international scouting has been adapted. We've talked about these things before. He's made changes to a lot of the pain points, and I think we're starting to see some of the fruits in the minors. I still am primarily most concerned about that transition from the minors to the majors. And I don't see that changing with him. The performance department, which is analytics, he put a lot into. He restructured it, and they're supposedly using the information differently. I'm hearing from players it doesn't feel any different. I'm hearing from players that if they've made some kind of change to how that stuff is deployed, they haven't noticed it. There's been no message that any of it was going to be deployed any differently. It doesn't feel different to them. But that's a reason that he's made changes to a lot of the pain points, and some things have improved, and maybe that's the way to go. Stability is always a decent thing, right? The problem is one of the stabilities that you get to hang on to as a Pirates fan is Bob Nutting as the owner. And I guess my question would be, let's say Bob Nutting gives you a little bit more money. And I think that's realistic. I think it's realistic for him to give Ben Cherington a little bit more money next year to try to do better. But I don't think it's enough to like take you from signing Tommy Pham to signing Kyle Schwarber. Okay, I just don't think that investment's on the table. I don't think that investment's on the table if they hire a new GM. I think there's other ways to achieve continuity too. You can literally fire Ben Cherington. I'd fire Travis Williams too, but you can fire Ben Cherington and you can just hire his lieutenant, Horowitz. He's already here. He's already entrenched in the system. He's already changing the development tact. They're already working on different ways to get the information to players. Maybe he's got a better vision for how to translate it up at the top level. Maybe that could happen even with Ben overseeing it. Who am I to say? If you want the case for continuity, this is it. The case for continuity is pretty much a threefold track. One, Bob Nutting's the biggest problem, and he's not going anywhere. So does it matter enough to upturn the apple cart? I think it does. I think I illustrated that in point 1, and I'll probably illustrate it again in segment 3. But devil's advocate, Bob's going to be here. Does changing the GM change anything that drastically? Probably not. A lot of the problems that we've identified with the development system and the drafting and the international signings and all of that, well, they've changed all that within the last 2 years. So they've been addressed. Somebody new coming in here might have a completely different vision. Could that change things? I guess it's still going to be baseball being played down there and whatnot. And no GM is going to come in here and just completely erase everything that's going on in the minors. They're not going to come in and clean house. Sure, they'll have their own idea of certain guys here and there, but like nobody's going to come in here and just decimate the team, decimate the talent they have, cut everything up and leave it for dead and start over. That's not going to happen. No matter who they hire. So I ask again, is it a big enough change? I mean, part of me thinks it is. Part of me thinks after 5 years of watching him and what his teams have actually accomplished at this level, you kind of come to a conclusion that it almost doesn't matter if it's right or wrong as much as it's just needed change. You know, this is a team that in this year of the rebuild, I mean, you should be looking at your best team. This should be the best version of what Ben Cherington has put together. 2023 is the best version of what he's put together. These last 2 seasons have been bad, and they did that largely without O'Neal Cruz. If you really, really want to think about it, they've gotten progressively worse since 2023. In fact, that's the only year he finished outside of the basement in the NL Central. This year, the Pirates have scored 2 runs or less in 44% of their games. Now, I'm making a case for keeping him here in segment 2, right? I can't get past that number, and I have a real hard time intellectually, honestly finishing this conversation without bringing up just how derelict of duty I think it would be to ignore something that just has never worked under this GM. I'm thinking about free agents that he brought in. I was thinking to myself the other day, you know what? Ben Gamel might be the best outfielder he's brought in, and that was a waiver claim. And there has been a hole in the outfield from 2020 on. So if Ben Gamel is your best solution for filling that hole, maybe Alexander Canario, actually. I should add him. I just don't know what to do for you if that's the case. If that's the best you got, then we're destined for this. But maybe we haven't been taking them seriously when they've been telling us things. Like, they've been telling us really since Ben got here, what? They want to get better. That's their big message. We want to get better. Every day we want to get better. Which I don't think any of us would hate if we were actually seeing that. If we were actually seeing evidence that things are getting better, I think there'd be a lot more of us that would be pretty cool with hearing that all the time. But we haven't heard that. We haven't seen that. We've seen it like on the pitching development side. We're just not getting that offense. Not even minimal offense. That's what's really killing me. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, I don't have a good case for keeping him. I just don't. I think you get to a point where change has to come. And it doesn't matter that it's fair or not. Baseball's not fair. It's not fair that a guy like Rowanzi Contreras runs out of options and then bounces around the league like a pinball, and nobody will let him have more than one outing when they promote him. It's not fair. What would be fair is if Rowanzi could get somehow like a new bank of options. There would be like a new way that he would manage to not have to get DFA'd every time he got an opportunity. That would be more fair. Fair doesn't matter for this. This would just be repeating mistakes, if you ask me, not continuity. Let's take another break and let's talk about what this team could do if they just decided, screw it. We're 100% going internal. We're not even going to bother trying to invest from the outside. It doesn't work anyway. What would this team look like? Would it be worse than this year, maybe? Let's talk about it. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Money, 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 everybody. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Okay, so in this scenario, he stayed. He's here. Ben Cherington has returned. And they don't get any extra money to spend on this team. You're going to bring back Kutch. Maybe you got like 15, 20 million to play with. Outside of that, you can get some little bit and piece relievers, maybe a spot starter type, an old veteran reclamation project starter, whatever you want to do. You know, same old, kind of what we've been watching here in Pittsburgh. What kind of kids has he brought in these trades? And I'm asking because I'm watching what they're trying to onboard right now at the major league level. I'm watching Cam Devaney. I'm sold power. Where? I don't even see like that long fly ball that you can tell he just missed. I don't see those authoritative line drives that make you really appreciate the power that you know is hidden in that bat. My God, if he could just get under it a little bit. I'm seeing a decent defender, but I'm seeing a defender who's 29 years old, and you don't get to develop at the major league level at 29 years old. The whole incentive for getting a guy that's 29 years old and blocked, supposedly, is that you don't have to do that training, because the only reason he's in the minors is because he's blocked. So fair again or not, you have to perform from minute one when you're that age. Same reason Matt Gorski had to perform the minute he got called up. Same reason Jason DeLay had to perform the minute he got called up. Same reason that all veterans, older players like that who are just finally cracking into the league don't get a lot of opportunity, because the upside to you succeeding is very little. Like, if Cam Devaney's good, next year he's 30. Let's say he is good and he wins a spot and it's real. You got what? 2 years of him playing baseball for you before he starts his way down the other side of the skill set tunnel because he's aging out already? Where's the upside in that win? But that's what we're going to see a ton of. If Ben Cherington is back and they don't raise the payroll, you're going to see a commitment to going internal. You're going to see platoons all over the place. You're going to see bit roles being filled. They'll sign another Tommy Pham type for the outfield. They'll sign somebody like Iglesias who can play shortstop or third base. Or, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It'll be a patchwork primarily built on the back of what this team and this development system has been able to put on the field. And I got to be real, just from looking at what I'm looking at this year and how their training has been applied, I don't see it. I don't see it getting any better than this way. There needs to be a new message from the top. That's the bottom line. It's very, very expensive and impractical to fire all the players and completely reimagine this team. It really is. Ben Cherington comes back. Ben Cherington doesn't come back. A lot of this team is returning. A lot of this team will return. And that being the case, I wonder if the overall ethos that everything has to come from inside is going to change too, because it's a lesson that I think they should be learning now. Not only do they not have the pieces here now to fill everything internally, they don't have the pieces in place to jump to the next level. The last thing I want to touch on here is I think they need a new voice, if only because they need somebody that is capable of convincing Bob Nutting even minimal investment done wisely can change the trajectory of your team. But it's going to take risk, and they need to explain why that risk is necessary. They need to explain why they are going to do what they're going to do. They need you to understand it. They need you to feel good about it. They need to do something different. And the best thing I can suggest is to go out and do what some of these other teams in the Pirates situation have been doing. Take a guy like Connor Griffin, offer him 10 years, $80 million now. Don't put any conditions on it about when he starts as a major leaguer. Don't put any conditions on it outside of, Connor, we believe in you. Here's $80 million for 10 years. And basically tell your fans, if we don't call him up, you should know now that it has nothing to do with money. We're paying him already. When he gets called up, you don't immediately need to start fretting about when he's gone, because we've got him locked up for 10 years. We did this the smart way. You don't worry about him winning Rookie of the Year and using a year of control. You don't worry about any of that stuff when you're factoring in when you call him up and when he might actually be able to help your team. Those types of things this team has to do. And Bob Nutting's unwilling to do it. And I don't think this GM is either willing to do it, has the communication skills to get it done, and maybe Bob just is never going to do it and never allow it. But I need somebody else to try. You have to try to get through to him. We can't get rid of him, unfortunately. So I need somebody to try to convince him that, like, in modern baseball, this is the stuff you got to do. Hey, every once in a while, you got to defer a contract. You know what I mean? Like, maybe we don't want to pay that this year, but next year we'll be okay with it because of the revenue he's going to bring in. That's the sort of thing I need a GM. And to do that, I think you need an effective team president that can help sell that vision. And that's not Travis Williams, my friend. It's not. I need somebody that is going to be a teammate with the baseball side of things and help convince the owner how to make money. How to make money out of what you do. Locking up guys like Connor Griffin way early and eliminating all that crap that your fans normally have to deal with every time you call someone up. You know exactly what I mean, too. Every time Paul Skeens pitches, and it's why I get so pissed about him getting pulled out after like 5 innings, and you too. Every time he pitches, it's like watching sand fall through an hourglass. You know your time is running out on getting able to enjoy this man pitching for you, win with him, build a team around him. That's what they've created by not attempting to sign somebody like that. These types of freaks don't get to go to free agency very often. You saw what Juan Soto did. He got traded twice and enriched 2 teams on the way to doing it. And he was never going to sign. He was a Boris guy. Well, these two aren't. Paul Skeens and Connor Griffin aren't. Do something different. Give your fans hope that the window isn't about to slam shut on their fingers as soon as they decided to peek over the wall and get halfway interested. I just don't feel any of that's gonna happen under Ben Cherington. I don't. And Don Kelly is probably going to stay one way or another, but I don't think Don Kelly is affected by this general manager. I mean, I think he has overriding ethos that he has to live up to right now that should go away, and that might help make him a better manager, if only because he doesn't have the shackles of the stupidity that he lives in. But you can have all that and still move on from the GM. I need something different. And I either need Ben Cherington to act like somebody that he's never been in his entire career. I need Bob Nutting to do things he's never done in his entire tenure as owner. And I don't think I'm going to get either of them. And it sucks going into an off-season feeling like that. This won't be my last rage-filled episode, I'm quite sure. This off-season is going to be An awful lot. And once we know what they're doing with Ben Cherington, we're going to at least know what direction to start pointing. If Ben Cherington stays, the Pirates are betting on a vision that hasn't paid off yet. The question is whether fans, players, and ownership are willing to wait. I suspect many of you aren't anymore. Thanks for listening to Locked On Pirates. I'm Gary Morgan. I'll see you Monday with hopefully a happier show. Let's hope they do what they normally do and go sweep a team now that they've been swept a couple times in a row. Let's go Bucks.